For the last 20 years, the ABS Capacity Development Initiative has improved the conditions for cooperation between users and providers of biological and genetic resources. We have empowered people, communities, and organizations to identify and assert their needs and interests, and to negotiate fair agreements and contracts governing access to these resources.
So the Convention on Biological Diversity has 3 pillars: conservation, sustainable use, and fair and equitable benefit sharing. And this is very important because you're not going to get sustainable use unless there are incentives for it. And you're not going to be able to conserve unless there's sustainable use. So really, fair and equitable benefit sharing is a key element of actually conserving our Earth's biological diversity.
The multi-donor ABS Capacity Development Initiative has been steered and supported by multiple countries and partners, working closely with policymakers, legislators, researchers, the private sector, indigenous people, and local communities. As a responsive and adaptable learning institution, we have been a knowledge broker and a trusted partner, advising governments and guiding ABS policy and regulations, always tailoring our approach to the needs of beneficiaries. We anticipated the challenges of industry partners and empowered communities with tools and resources. We looked ahead at how compliance with new regulations would enable, not hinder, research and development and biotrade. Our journey started in 2006 with support from the German and Dutch governments. The CBD was preparing to formalize the rules governing access to biological and genetic resources in exchange for fair benefits for providing countries, including their communities with traditional knowledge on the use of biodiversity.
So everything that comes from the land, the indigenous plants, the bohu, the scaletium, the rooibos, everything, it came from our land to heal us. So that's why biotrade ABS TK is very important for us as a Khoi and San people. Because you remember, we are nothing without our lands and our plants. We live on it, we protect it, we preserved it.
In 2006, at the first Pan-African ABS workshop in Cape Town, delegates developed a vision for a future global benefit-sharing agreement to meet Africa's needs. It was the first of many Pan-African ABS gatherings where knowledge and experience were shared and approaches were harmonized, with field trips to communities, factories, farms, and environments rich in biological resources.
Le partage des expériences avec les autres pays a permis au Cameroun de parachever et d'affiner ses objectifs nationaux.
The vision emerging from Cape Town included respect for traditional knowledge and active community participation in ABS agreements through biocultural community protocols. New skills and capacity would be needed. Ahead of the 2010 CBD COP in Nagoya, we supported African negotiators and regulators with technical briefs, workshops, and training.
The ABS initiative was started to support African countries in the negotiation of the Nagoya Protocol. And that support was absolutely critical to safeguard its interests.
The result was a well-prepared African group speaking with one voice on a unified position. This enhanced the overall success of the negotiations for all parties. The Nagoya Protocol, adopted in 2010, was a groundbreaking international agreement that gave value to biodiversity and provided clear guidelines on ABS. Now, we began to support the ratification of the protocol by countries in Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific. The protocol entered into force in 2014. ABS regulations and compliance mechanisms were adopted by European Union member states that same year. There was growing awareness of the need to operationalize ABS in Africa. This led in 2015 to the adoption of the African Union Strategic Guidelines for ABS. Our focus turned to how countries in Africa, the Caribbean, and Pacific would develop functioning national ABS systems. We facilitated ABS permits and agreements with indigenous peoples and local communities, and collaborated with academia and business to establish ABS-compliant value chains. We organized the Copenhagen Business Dialogues ahead of the UN Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio in 2012 to develop ideas on implementation of the Nagoya Protocol in different industry sectors. The technicalities of ABS and its opportunities and challenges were shared in guides and videos, which are still being used to inform policymakers, ABS focal points, industry, communities, and researchers. The ABS journey in Africa produced many positive results. One of the highlights is the Rooibos Biocultural Community Protocol developed in South Africa by the National Khoi and San Council, with the support of Natural Justice.
For us in South Africa, we believe in access benefit sharing agreement on traditional knowledge. The reason for that is we must have access to that knowledge. We must share the benefits, both the farmer and us as the holders. We are living on one continent, and that applies to all indigenous peoples in the world. All I want to say is respect us. Let us have access like you have access. Let us share the benefits.
In 2019, this led to a world-first industry-wide benefit-sharing agreement between the rooibos industry and traditional knowledge holders. The rooibos experience later informed a sector-wide ABS agreement between industry and TK holders on Buchu, which proved the concept of non-monetary benefits. And we helped to facilitate the first ABS agreement in Central Africa. In 2022, the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, the GBF, was adopted at CBD COP15. With a proper goal and a specific target, there was now more emphasis on creating benefits and sharing them fairly. ABS targets had to be integrated into national biodiversity strategies and action plans. The implementation of ABS was speeding up.
Countries in the African continent have been really leaders on the topic of access and benefit sharing. And I think that the ABS Capacity Development Initiative has played an important role in this sense. There's still so much to be done on access and benefit sharing because there's a lot of concepts that have been developed. There's international agreements that have been adopted. More and more countries now have laws on access and benefit sharing. In fact, almost 80 countries refer to access and benefit sharing in their legislation, but what is still missing is actually changing practices on the ground.
The shift from legal frameworks to tangible and measurable benefits required a whole of government and whole of society approach. Partner countries began to mainstream ABS into trade, economic, and conservation policies. We began to support development of concepts for monitoring and reporting of benefits. Scientific advancements in genomics now saw industry and academia exploring new opportunities from the digital sequencing of genetic resources. We recognized this would need a new approach to benefit sharing. Negotiations were underway for a multilateral mechanism for sharing benefits from the use of DSI. And we supported capacity development through webinars and global dialogues, and a video and guide to promote understanding of DSI. Our work has been complemented by important spin-off projects. From 2018, the ABS Compliant Value Chains in Southern Africa project has given financial, technical, and mentoring support to small businesses. Known as Abiosa, the project has facilitated sector development plans for key species and supported the creation of new sector organizations. The Bio-Innovation Africa project has since 2019 promoted African-European business partnerships focused on biodiversity conservation and local development in 4 countries, and they help to build ABS-compliant value chains based on the biotrade principles of the United Nations Trade and Development Body, UNCTAD. The Bio-Innovation Academy was created to work with business support organizations, NGOs, the private sector, training institutions, and consultancies.
Well, over the years, Namibia has benefited from the support of the Capacity Building Initiative and the Bio-Innovation Africa project in terms of negotiations at various platforms on ABS issues. Additionally, there have been support that enabled Namibian producers to access markets, especially European markets, but also attempts to break some of the market barriers that do exist.
After 20 years, the ABS initiative is coming to an end as a standalone project. We pay tribute to our partners and donors, and businesses and communities who have been on this journey with us. Together, we have improved the conditions for cooperation between providers and users of biological resources. There are now robust systems supporting conservation of biodiversity and the fair sharing of benefits arising from its sustainable use. We fostered new partnerships, supported governments and communities, and helped to build ABS into biotrade value chains and national policies on trade, economics and conservation.
Et maintenant, par rapport à l'initiative APA, on a toujours bénéficié du renforcement des capacités de ce partenaire, aussi bien au niveau pays qu'à l'international.
We are confident that the work will continue. Further business and research partnerships will be started between Africa and Europe. Our training approaches are feeding into national ABS implementation. New tools and resources will be developed. And the ABS initiative mission of 20 years ago will be fulfilled with the protection of biodiversity, value from natural resources, with fair and sustainable benefits for people and communities.